So hey everyone, my name's Julian, partner manager here at Buildxact. You might have seen me on some of these webinars before. Apologies in advance if my voice just starts going. I've got that whole toddler at daycare syndrome in winter, which is very, very fun. So apologies if that does happen, but hopefully we'll give you guys some really good tips and tricks here from Tara. So I'll bring Tara in. Obviously, hopefully you can see her on the camera as well.
Hey everyone.
Hey Tara.
Hello.
Thank you for joining. So last year, guys, we did this, I think in October, I think it was, Tara, maybe September.
Yes.
There's
Yeah,
about
I think it was about, yeah.
650, I think, people registered for this. So we knew it was a really hot topic for people to get in, and there were some really good tips and tricks that you have. Obviously, Buildxact has upgraded some feature sets and some stuff that you've been playing around with the new schedule. So we thought it'd be really good to do this again. We'll get a bunch of new people on. Buildxact have obviously added a ton of subscribers to the platform. So we'll try and do this maybe once a year or so and just kind of give people a bit of an understanding about how people, in particularly you and your space, actually use Buildxact. So for those of you who don't know, Tara, estimator, we've worked with her for a very long time. She did I forget the builder you did the testimonial interview with, Tara, that we've got.
Would have been a high construct at the time, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. There's another one I think on the YouTube page that I'm thinking of as well, but I can send that on as well. If people are interested in seeing that, but you can go in and check. And we actually just got off a team meeting, Tara, where your face is on a few of our slides.
I've been to a few things and walked into the room and gone, oh, my face.
Yeah.
If it's sponsored by Buildxact, I go, oh, ah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, guys, Tara's here today just to really take you through her way of working. This isn't how Buildxact and how the software tells you to work or how we think you should work. This is just someone who does this as an estimator daily and how she finds Buildxact is to you. So this isn't me just telling you, oh, Buildxact says this, this, and this, and this, and this. Is it my internet or someone else's? I'm not getting many of the words. Hopefully that's not something everyone is having an issue with.
Ooh, yeah. That wouldn't be ideal.
If you guys can just let me know if you're having an issue with that as well. All good. Yeah, awesome. So Tim, might be your internet there, mate. Maybe just hop out, hop back in again, or hotspot potentially. I know that happens to me sometimes with my Wi-Fi, and I'm sitting right there. That's where my the box is, and it still doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah, it comes in and out. She's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. So Tara, do you want to do a quick intro, who you are, what you do in a bit more detail?
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So I'm Tara from Arthaus Projects. I'm based on the Gold Coast, but operate across Australia. And I don't know if anyone's seen me on Instagram, I was recently dressed as a Rubik's Cube. So whilst I do quite a serious role, I guess, in estimating project management, I also really like to take the mickey out of myself. So that's one thing when people work with me, it's, it is what it is, and that's what I am. So yeah, I think it's probably goes into the way that I run my estimating and how I engage with the trades and suppliers to then produce what we're going to run through now. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And Tara, you work as an estimator for builders. So they'll send you plans and you draw it up in your Buildxact software. But then you've also jumped into Buildxact's file as well and worked inside there.
Yeah, so we can do both ways. Initially, we build it in ours, obviously because of the IP and building that relationship. Once we're comfortable working company to company, then we can actually go into the Buildxact and utilize the system that way. It's, much of a muchness. It's as if you've got heaps of price files, it's actually easier for us to go into your system. It's just, we time it so that no one's in an estimate at the same time, because there is nothing worse than doing an estimate and then someone else has been in it and it's gone. So communication is key regardless of what you're doing, people. That's one of the big takeaways from today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, so this session is really just focused around the estimating side. So it's really right up to that point where the estimate is finished. We do have a job management focused one next week at the same time with Tara as well. So we're not going to be diving too much into the Zero and the project management end, because Tara does work as a contract admin project manager for builders as well. So we have got a webinar for that. What I might do, in case I forget, I might just pop the link in the chat as well. So if any of you guys want to jump onto that one and register, that's the link. It should be coming through to you guys now. Please feel free to do so, and we'll try and delve into the more deeper side there. So I have exact accounting on, talking about the Zero integration. So if you great to see you registered there, Ken. Ken's a regular on these sessions, so good to see you back.
Oh, hey Ken. I spoke to him last week.
Oh, did you? There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, I'll just rephrase it, because I've seen about another 40 people join since I said this. So this is more of how Tara works with Buildxact, rather than following the Buildxact way and the steps that, in our training and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be things that Tara doesn't utilize from a feature set of Buildxact. That doesn't mean you can't, or you have to do it our way or her way or anything like that. It's really just to give you guys an understanding about how she does things. And there's some really good little tips and tricks that I learned from the last session as well. So hopefully you get that out of this. So what I might do before Tara starts sharing a screen, I'll just quickly dive into some of the supplier pricing integration stuff, just to show you guys where they are, because we get new people on all the time. I know some of you guys are probably already connected. So this is probably old news to some of you, but Tara's not going to go into too much detail on this, so I want to dive into it. If you are working with any suppliers that we have integrated, you'll find them under the supplier integration section here. So you can see these are the two that I'm connected with. So Bunnings, obviously, and then Australian Builders Network. They're a sort of buying group down in Melbourne here where I am, and they've got sort of places set up in Sydney and Brisbane. I think they've just opened up in Tassie as well, but they have a bunch of suppliers that feed into Buildxact, and then you can use all their suppliers to start pricing out jobs. But you can see this is where all the suppliers that we have here. Ignore some of these that look like a test account, because mine is an internal account. But say, for example, if it's Dalston's or Mitre 10, all you do is hit connect, fill in the details, select the group of stores that you're in. That will turn on the price files into your Buildxact. So when you're starting to do your estimates, you can use those price files directly from your supplier when you start building out your templates or your recipes or whatever. Tara is going to be providing her template as well, which is a kitchen reno, is it? Or a bathroom reno, Tara?
Yeah, kitchen and bathroom, actually.
Yeah. So Tara's got a template she's going to be passing on to all people that attended this webinar. So we'll get that out to you. Obviously, she has to go in and add these on manually. So last time people were like, the next minute after the webinar finished, were like, where's my template?
You've got to give me like a week or so.
yeah, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to give people a heads up of where you find the supplier pricing inside Buildxact. We're obviously continuing to add people in there. There'll hopefully be a couple of big additions coming in the next couple of months as well. So just keep an eye on that. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll let Tara jump in, and hopefully that will work. Just let me know if you don't have sharing access turned on there, Tara.
Yeah. Oh, good. Share.
And while Tara's doing that, guys, whereabouts are you all from? I know someone said Tassie, I think I saw pop up. And so where in the country is everyone? Awesome.
Oh, so
I say in the country as well, New Zealand as well. Sorry about that. I do that a bit.
Can everybody see that big enough? Because I can only see my own screen, so I'm just going to assume that it's all sweet. And I will also preface this: if I go mute, it's because I've got the cough as well. So
yeah, it's just that time of year, isn't it?
We're in it together. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So we've got a bunch of different people all around the country and the world. I saw a Toronto in there as well. And if you guys are you able to just let me know if you're currently using Buildxact or not? Just because we want to get a feel of where people are at with using an estimating software. My guess is a lot of people will be using Buildxact. Awesome. So if you just started there, so brilliant.
Oh, freshies.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get some good content out of this for sure.
Awesome. So, guys, there'll be some of these things that Tara will be going through that's a bit more advanced. There'll be some things that, you know, are really beginner level stuff. Feel free to ask as many questions as you like. We will try and stay on track as much as possible while the questions are coming in. If we get questions that go into too deep, you know, then we'll maybe just say, look, we'll hold them off until the end of the session. So hopefully that's okay. Guys, as well, if I'm not sure if you get the same view on me, but you can just close the webinar chat and it should make the screen a little bit bigger and easier for you to see. But hopefully that's okay for everyone there. And maybe we'll get going, Tara.
Yeah, let's rip in. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to run through the kitchen and bathroom renovation template. That this will get sent out. Obviously, we won't have any of the pricing or the rates or anything applied. I've just kept some of these in for examples, just, you know, across there. So when I am setting up a job, I'll look at my job and then look at my exclusions, and I put that as my first line item, because as I'm building my job, I want to make sure, obviously, these are the items here. Like when we scroll down, we go, this is what we're doing, this is what we're including. What are we excluding? Because that's going to get you out of trouble for a contract purpose. So just always dumping your heading up here, exclusions, popping it over to the specification using the S buttons over here, so that when we're looking at all of our job specifications, general conditions, housekeeping, exclusions, it's just something that, and this is only a recent thing that I've been doing based on what another builder himself was doing. He said, oh, look, I just put this as its own header, and he was putting it down the bottom, and I just went, nah, we need to put that right at the top, because that will get us out of trouble. And so everything that we itemize and we build in here, yes, it's to deliver the project for the client and to have these items, but we've always got to think about, you know, making sure that we are covered as a builder or a contractor in our actual contract with the client, which goes into why we put so much detail into writing a specification against our estimate as we're going. And if you're not already doing this, I know some builders will keep their project management and overhead component, in part of their markup. So they'll have a higher markup, you know, with the margin ratio built in there. And if you don't know the difference between markup and margin, I would suggest you go on and you Google what that is and view how someone explains it. I'm not going to try and explain it because, like, I grasp it, but to explain it, it's just, sometimes it's just one of those things. So actually, Exact Accounting next week, he'll probably run through that as part of what we'll go through. All right, I'll make sure I ask that question.
Yeah, the way I always explain it is one is a percentage of cost and one's a percentage of sales. So
yeah, so we detail that through here as your breakup. You're always going to lose a 5%, you know, 4 or 5% across there. So we go into our project management, and you'll see here that I always utilize this notes section. So I'll put my notes in here. When you get this sent across, unfortunately, the system doesn't actually send notes. So when you're sending an estimate over to somebody, it doesn't have the notes, but, you know, you can view back on this webinar and make these notes yourself. So I always look at a project size. And for example, this is a kitchen bathroom renovation. So my actual supervisor wouldn't necessarily have to be there, all the time. You might be able to, you know, spend a couple of hours and then head off somewhere else and leave your leading hand working there. If it was a bigger project, I'd be looking at these hours here as either half of his wage, so, you know, maybe 1,500, or a full wage if it's a big project where he needs to be there for 2 years straight. I'd be charging his full amount to that. So this is how we then would break out our project management component. Always put in some administration amounts. If you're not putting that in there, then you're, doing your basically a disservice to whoever's doing your administration, because they need to be paid, and it needs to be something that's accounted for across the job. Because whilst, yes, they're an overhead, they are a direct cost to the job. And that's the same with the estimating fee as well. So whether it's somebody who's in your business doing the estimating, or you're having someone third party do that, you still need to be accounting for what that actually costs you in your job. So always putting something in there. So whether it's, sorry, that should actually say, I should say, quote, dump that in, important. So there you go. So it's always important to have something in there for the estimator to be covered as well.
Yeah. So Tara, this is just really just not just focusing on the materials and the job specific costs, and actually just things that come in the business in general, right?
Yeah. So this is like an umbrella, basically. It's like everything that's involved under it. And then this is how it all falls together. But yeah, the project management and admin team, they're a big cost to you. And if you're not allocating money to it, then where is it coming from? And if it's coming from your markup and you're only applying a 20%, then you're not making the money that you really should be as a builder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara, can you just talk about why you've put the 1 cent line item in there?
Yes.
How that works?
Yeah. So you'll notice throughout this whole estimate, excuse me, that there's where I've got a heading, I'll label it as in big letters, and then I'll put this as a heading. So my unit of measure, and you'll have to go into your actual business setup to add unit of measure and quote into that. And if you don't know how to do that, there's heaps of YouTubes on Buildxact on how to add those kind of things in there. The reason I do that is because, one, it sets that as a heading item, but then when we go into other areas, you'll see here that I add dots, and that just separates all of the sections against what I actually want to be allocating money to. And visually, when you look at the specification, it breaks that out. And I'll show you that in a second. The reason we have to put a 1 cent is because in the system, there's actually no heading line item that you can drop in. And if you don't put a 1 cent or a cost against a unit of measure, it actually completely disappears when you send the job over to, so when you send the estimate to a job. And, we take all this time to make this look broken out and visually, aesthetically pleasing. So when you're ordering things, it's all structured. If you don't put a unit of measure and a quantity against this, that fully disappears. And then it's just a big, massive numbers and words, which, you put enough detail, you can see that. That's just how my brain works. Like, I like it to be all structured neatly and present nice.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of the good things with having Tara on here, guys, is that there's a lot of tips and tricks, because this is her bread and butter daily from the estimating side. This is kind of where these little bits of advice are really helpful, and how this views and effectively jerry-rigging the system to work, how you want it to,
Yeah, one of the many workarounds.
Exactly, yeah.
On that, yeah. So that's the reason we have those, and just breaking up these sections as well. And again, the specification, pressing the S button here, ensures that this comes across all nicely broken out. So when I'm showing to the client, hey, this is all of our project insurances across the job, they can see the different sections. Building approval, there we go. Building insurance or project insurances, and then building approval notes. Just, it reads nicely visually. And this job is, sorry.
I was going to say, Tara, just jump in quickly before you move on there. There was a question there about the T. The T is used, so Nathan, the T is used to add it as a task in your schedule. So if that button is ticked, it'll automatically come across to your schedule. And the S is what Tara was just showing there on your specifications. So if you add the S in, it will show up in your specifications listing. And Jan, would the tick box show $0 items not work for this? The $0 items, ticking that will work when you view the quote. But if there's not a transaction against the estimate, so a 1 cent transaction, it won't show in your cost tracking. So when you come to your cost tracking end of the system, we only show things that have a dollar value amount in there.
Yeah, so then all that gets basically removed. Yeah. And you'll see up here as well, the notes, insurances. This is a Queensland job. So my Q levy is built on X amount. My Q leave is built on X amount. If I had inspections, what am I actually getting inspections for? Is it frame? Is it block work? Is it subfloor? Whatever you want to put through there, just making those notes so that regardless of who's looking at this, so whether it's the estimator who's setting this for somebody else, or whether it's the you as the builder setting this so that your supervisor can run the job, putting notes just to let everybody know what's happening, it's a really good function. And then, whenever you have this template, you can just create your own note system. So every time you duplicate it, it's the same stuff. So you just put in, contractor's name, phone number, quote number, because that then also leads into how we set up ones that need to be quoted. For example, termite treatment. Right now I have this one needed to be parged, so I've gone here. We're going to put $800 in there just to cover it. You just know that, gives a little bit of fat. It's not too much, but it's enough. Otherwise, you've got lineal rates that you can put for penetrations, perimeter, or you can get it when you get it quoted. So I always have a line item here, a header, treatment works, and then a quote item. So back to that unit of measure in your project or your company setup, those are two things that you'd need to add in so that every time you press a Q, it pops up. The reason I put this here is termite treatment as per quote. I'll have the contractor name, the quote number, so that when I go to order this from the cost tracking side, once it's a job, all you have to do is click that and order, and you have all the information for the contractor's quote already listed there. And it's literally such a time save having that contractor quote number, and you can even put their phone number and the actual date of that as well if you want to put that much information. But it's just a time save being able to click one button, boom, done. Not have to worry about, what was that referencing? And then they get this thing saying you've got an order for $400 and they're going, I don't even remember what we quoted you. So it's just a bit of time save for both parties. And that goes into the contracts admin side. So everything you're doing, you're estimating, you want to make it easy for your contracts admin or your admin team or your project manager to then order and manage things on site. That's just one of those little steps. See, put a 1 there, put a copy across. And I never select the S on a quote either. So you'll see here that I've built a specification down the bottom. And even if I don't use these rates, I've still got this as a specification that I can copy across. And then up here would be my quote reference and the cost for the actual scope that they need. And by not selecting this, it means that on the specification side, we're not seeing who the actual supplier or their quote was, just because we don't want clients to be able to go out and shop for that kind of stuff. Plus it's our, IP as the builder. So yeah, just always making sure there's no S ticked when you're doing something like that. What have we got here? Carpentry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might jump into the questions quickly.
Yeah, go for it. Cool. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to keep rolling with this.
Yeah. Just I'm just going to double check I haven't missed anything. So everyone, it is recorded, so you will get the recording after this for you to have a little look through. James has asked, do you add all line items to the spec page, and if so, why?
No, so not every single line item. I do build quite heavy content specifications because I just think that's what the client deserves. If I'm going to be spending $2 million, I want to be that picture painted, and we can only really do that in words for what we're doing. But no, I don't copy all of them, just the important ones. And that's something you just learn through doing this a lot. What is and what isn't important.
Yeah, and I think Taro might be right in saying this, but because you do this for a living and you understand this stuff, your price files look different to maybe how a builder's would look, and you probably know the price of things just rolled up off top of your head. Whereas as a builder doing this, you're probably pulling together more line items of particular materials and things and sort of doing them that way.
Yes.
Tara's estimate looks more rolled up pricing as opposed to individual line items. So that'll depend on how you guys are doing your estimate. If you're putting every single item in there and things, it's going to look slightly different. You probably don't want to go and start adding those items to your specifications. But if you've got a rolled up number that you're just adding in, and again, that might be a 1 cent transaction that you're just putting in, so that you've got all your estimate line items that are actually totaling your real figure, and you've maybe just shown a 1 cent transaction item with the cost in it or something like that. That might be how you show it in the specifications, while also matching, which you could do that in the estimate and show it in specifications, or you just go to specifications and add it in there. There's no real right or wrong way of doing that.
No, you can do it either way. So I do it in my estimate because I just like to save time, because I like to build it as I go. Two birds, one stone. Otherwise, building it in my spec line, I have to go back and I go, shit, what was that? Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's just too much. I got too much going on. I don't know about everyone else, but yeah.
you build a system that works for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen builders that like, you know, extreme detail, and they like having, you know, really detailed estimate line items. And then I see other people that just go supply and install, you know, whatever it is, and they just put a price on it. And there's no real right or wrong way. But obviously, the more detailed you can be, the more detailed your profit performance and reporting and stuff comes out of it. But then you have that trade-off of how much time do I want to spend on that? And that's really going to be down to the individual and what they want to do.
Exactly. And I might just add, this is a very basic template that I'm sending out as well. Like my master templates and ones that get sold, they're pretty hectic. So don't take this as all I do. Like this is...
I mean, I wouldn't be expecting you to go through a real full detailed one. This is really just kind of because we'll be here for probably 3 hours, I think, going through it, Tara.
If we did that. Absolutely.
There's a question from Hardeep here about so this is a renovation template, but these same principles apply for a new build as well.
Yeah.
And Larry's just asking there, Tara, can you show how to do the note section?
Oh yeah, sure.
How do you do it? So yeah, just
so we would go up here, you see add internal notes, and you just type away. So some of the ones that I would put in would be contractor or supplier, quote number, date, phone. Because they're really, when you are sending out a quote or you're giving this to someone to say, hey, can you run this? This is literally what they need. Like I just need this. I need this information to know who I'm actually contacting. So that's that. Or it might be something with the longhand of how you've done some workings. Like some of the concrete takeoffs that we do are quite complex. And so we'll often write some longhand notes up top so that the builder or the supervisor can actually understand how we've formulated what we've done.
And I guess Tara, this is really useful when you've got someone in the business that's maybe doing the estimating, and like you said, someone that is actually managing the project. How do I make sure this is visually easy to understand and what's happening when someone actually goes and picks up this project, right?
Yes, correct. Absolutely. Because everything you do is, my dad always taught me, I used to be a TA, Dad was a Sparky, always taught me that everything you do, it should be left in a way that someone else can come and do their job easily. And so even down to the way that I estimate or I run jobs, it just should have that flow effect, because we're all on the same team trying to achieve the same thing. And just doing these little tiny bits, which might take us a little bit longer now, means that we're going to make more money. We're going to be offsite quicker, that kind of stuff. So
Sure. Well, these questions are actually coming in quicker than I can I can get them answered. So Tim's asked, are individual line item notes coming in? I don't believe that's currently in development, Tim. I know Ryan is actually on this from our CS team, so he's actually already answered it before I've even. Apparently they are doing it potentially. So considering line item notes. This is when you're trying to scroll down, you can see 11 new messages underneath. Any recommendations, Tara? Like if someone is wanting to add more detailed notes per line item, is there any recommendation from your side how you'd maybe tackle that? Putting you on the spot.
Sorry, no. In what way? So how does that question?
So I think he's saying that when you've got a line item, he's wanting to add notes specific to that line item. Is there a recommendation of how you would tackle that?
So as in you could up here.
Yes, you're saying more categories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and it could be 11.32. Relates to trusses, underside or something. I'm just using words. but you could maybe try something like that, referencing what that is here. But you've also then always got to remember that if you adjust anything within here, that line item number would change as well. But I mean, if it was exactly what you had put forward, then
yeah,
that would be the way around it.
I was going to say there, Tim's just covered that off as well. Like the 1 cent line item would probably work in terms of providing notes inside the category. Obviously, it doesn't get tied directly to the specific item, but if you put it underneath or something, maybe that.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. No, you just make copies of that. Sorry, I understand what you mean now. Yeah, so I'll often do that too. I'll just have a notes, make sure it's not a spec item, but then that way the builder, it's like, hey man, just letting you know that we've actually got, that quote came in cheaper. I've been able to put $200 residual back into something, or I've got, whatever. That's a way you can get around it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been a couple of questions in there, Tara. I'm not sure if you do, but do you sell templates? Some of the more detailed ones?
Yes,
you do.
I do.
Awesome. We'll take the actual pricing and everything offline in terms of what you charge, all that kind of stuff, Tara. But
yeah, I've got a full price list now.
Yeah. If you could maybe just pop your email in there. Ken's bought one. Awesome. So yeah, if you could maybe put your email in there, Tara, so everyone's got your details. I'm sure people can find it. You're on the website and everything, but it'd be good to have it in the chat just so people can reach out to you directly, because I know templates and setting them up is a pretty big time consuming piece of work. So
yeah, it definitely is. So yeah, no, we definitely sell those and we can talk. So I will put that in there. Now with regards to, excuse me, you'll see me do a few things which are a bit longhand compared to if I was just working for one company and I would build a recipe. It's because I'm working across such a bevy of people and companies. Everything I do, I have to be able to translate that easily, that they understand where it's come from. So when you get the structural timber, I just break mine out against my, runs, depending on how high it is. If it's 24, 27, 30, whatever. 3 meter, 4, 5, 6 runs for horizontal runs. And then you've got your studs, then you've got jack studs. So I break mine out that way. But if you were working on a system where you were there all the time, you could just build recipes for something like that, which I would suggest doing because it would save you time. I just, do it longhand. 1, so I could present it as my spec, but 2, so it answers questions for my builders. They can visually see it and go in and see where I've done the takeoffs without having to actually understand a recipe. And on the YouTube for Buildxact, they've got really good recipe teaching kind of stuff. I'm not even going to pretend like I would sit there and teach someone a recipe. Like I'm not an expert in that field, but my estimator, who's just jumped on this week, actually, I think he's pretty keen to rip into some recipes. So that could be something that's coming too. Just putting it out there. Yeah, so you'll see here the structural components are broken out. I didn't have engineering at the time, so we just throw a bit of an allowance in there for ply sheeting and hardware and nails. And every time you're doing something to do with the structural components, you're getting your timber and your trusses and everything, but remember to put an allowance in there for your framing nails and your glues and stuff, because sometimes those can be thousands of dollars across a job. And if you've not put it in there, then you're going to be stung. You're already going to be losing money before you kind of starting. There's just a few of those little things to consider, just as having a line item is a standard thing that even if you don't want to use it, you can just delete it. But it's a good reminder to put it in there. Now, with carpentry labor components, I do this 2 ways of builders. So sometimes we'll build it out in a Excel format, which we then correlate back to a day rate. And we do a day rate because we look at the whole project, and there's a million ways you can work out carpentry labor. It's one of those things which sometimes you can absolutely nail it, and sometimes you can go, I've put so much in here and it just gets cooked. Like it's just, your crew might be having really bad days, whatever, things happen, but we do our best. So we work it out on a day rate based on whatever your crew is and whatever they cost you. So you might have, 2 carpenters, an apprentice, and just a general labourer. And that might be, $2,048 a day. So that's something when you before you even, you know, open your laptop in the morning, you need to be making $2,084 just to keep your crew on site. So that'll go into some of the stuff next week with that project management CA work, with exact accounting. But that's how I formulate my allowances for labor. I'll look at the day rate based on an 8-hour day and what our crew, actually is. And keeping in mind here, if you've got the supervisor's role isn't on the tools. So there's a difference there. So you might say, yeah, but I've got him up here. Yeah, but that hours that he's up here, or she as well, she's up here, whoever, is for running the job. So I'm going to pick up the phone, send an email, meet someone on site. I'm not productive on the tools. So you just got to remember to factor that back in to wherever you're doing your carpentry labor. Like, just put them back in here. If that's how you've set up your team. We just build out.
Can I just jump in, Tara, quickly?
Yeah.
Then, just from Grant, around the 1 cent line item, and I think he's basically saying if you add it as a click S, it's going to add its specifications, so it's going to come through from a client-facing part anyway. Grant, I think the difference is that if you don't have a 1 cent transaction in there, it's not going to flow through into your project management side. Mm-hmm. So just estimating, I think Ryan is literally answering the exact same thing. But yeah, so anyone that hasn't read it or isn't reading Ryan's response right now, when you add a 1 cent transaction, it comes into your job management. So if you're just doing it from an estimate and say you've only got the entry part of Buildxact software, you don't have the project management side, for sure, just you don't need to add a 1 cent transaction. If you want that in your project management side, you need to have a dollar value against it.
Yeah. And it's not a be all end all. It's just visually, for me, how I like all the things to be separated. But it's not going to ruin your day if you don't do it. It's just, yeah, you just got to remember.
Just what Tara finds easier, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Building out little specifications over here, that becomes just your scope, and that becomes the days. So again, 2 birds, 1 stone. Go, all right, sweet. Internal framing, the whole crew, take them a day. Half a day to straighten for plaster and half a day to tie in for the new beam. That becomes our specification. And we also then track our hours through that. And we track the hours from that from a work order, which we can go into next week as well. The things like plumbing and hydraulics is what's quoted. So we would then put our rough in fit off as per quote, add the quote number, total, and then the slab infill for the chase pipe work. You can add our notes up here as well as to who the contractor is, the date, the phone, and then we just build our specification below here. Again, these are 1 cent items. Got to add the one here. 1 cent items, which will copy across to the spec, and then this will copy across to our contract as well. If you don't want to have it on your job running function, just don't put the 1 cent basically.
Yeah, and I guess, Tara, the side to this as well is that if you want to do this from a costing screen, you can do it this way. Some people might decide to have all of these in your schedule instead.
Yeah.
And I guess then it just comes down to what you prefer. So I've seen some people with really detailed, and Ryan probably able to confirm this, he's on the session as well. Some people have really detailed schedules and really, really broken down to every single task, and it's all assigned, and that's how they like to work. Some people just have schedules that are like 20 items in there, and they just have really things just rolled up, and that's how they like doing it. So again, this is kind of one of those what works for
preference. You. Yeah, what works for you for sure. And this is just a method, and I'm sharing it. So yeah, if it works, sweet. Otherwise, you can build it in the schedule function. But then having certain items listed out here means that we can copy tasks across as well, which is a time save for the schedule. So plumbing fixtures, I itemized everything out. This one didn't have any selection, so I've just PC'd all of these to give the client an allowance amount. And you'll see here that when you click on these, it'll go PS, PC, but it gives you these options. And so I will select a PC or a PS, provisional sum, prime cost, and then I'll select the E button so that it spreads it back over the estimate. And the reason I do that is because when I'm presenting a prime cost or a provisional sum to a client, I only want them to see what they can spend. I don't want it to be something where you go, oh, we've got, $230,000 worth of cabinetry. And the client goes, oh, this is great. But in reality, they've only got 170,000 because of the markup or however markup you're applying, but they really only have 170,000. And that's a massive difference. Some of those big items stack up that much with markup that it can be a very awkward conversation. So
yeah, I might just dive into that, Tara, just to kind of go, because I know sometimes this can be a little bit of a thing. People take a little while to understand how it works.
Yeah.
When you have a markup that goes across your whole project, it's going to add that percent on, whatever it is, 20, 25% to those items effectively. As soon as you turn on prime cost, Buildxact will automatically try and take that 10, 20 grand extra that you've added on, and we'll try and push it across all the individual items. Like Tara is saying, because you don't want a situation where you've made allowance for the appliances in the house, including your markup, and then the client thinks, oh, I can get that extra fridge that has plumbed in ice or whatever that people buy expensive fridges do, or you can knock on the thing and you can see all the stuff inside it. The most pointless thing ever. But you don't want that to be a visual thing of people saying, I've got more budget than I want to. If you want to be completely transparent, and some people want to do that and show your markups everywhere and stuff, then obviously you can do that. But by default, we will try to split that over. So what you might see is certain items, when you tag them as PC, they don't change, but all the other items underneath it might change, for example. And you can spread that over things inside the category across the whole job. So that's what those little buttons after the PCPS bit actually means. So hopefully I've covered that off. And everyone knows what I just said. And sorry if I offended anyone about the knock fridges.
So that's just one of the things is avoiding that awkward you've got more money than you do, because this is people's biggest investment. So treating their numbers and treating how this is pretty important. So unless you are being transparent. So some of builders will say, look, open it right up, here's the margin and the markup. And I mean, that's actually amazing when that happens, because it's such an easy function of explaining how all of this works, because it's like, this is the raw cost, this is what we're making, boom, done. But that does take a certain type of client, and you've got to have a fair bit of confidence in what you're putting forward in terms of that number of your markup. So with regards to things like electrical work, same again, as per quote, build a little scope out. The fix out. Now, depending on how you display your items as well will affect how you kind of bunch these up. So, for example, when I have labor and material, I'll actually separate my carpentry labor from the materials that will be needed. And I do this because I like to be able to analyze costs against what those big sections of scope actually cost me. Whereas if it's combined, sometimes it can be harder to quickly extract numbers. Because if you're in a meeting and someone goes, oh, I need to, remove this X, Y, Z, and you go, boom, 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 yep, done. Okay, we're sorted. Just gives a bit more of that. It's easier number breakout for you. But if you want to combine those scopes as well, that's totally fine. I work with some builders where we, for all the framing works, we'll put all the materials plus the labor in there. So when he goes, all right, sweet, I've got, 150 worth of framing materials and labor together. That's that package. So he can release that out to whoever, maybe his trades or from his building side, he'll know what his guys are kind of up for. Again, it's just a preference of how you want to build things, but this is why I separate all of these things out. It's because I analyze numbers from probably a different level as well. What have we got here? Everything final. Again, standard notes.
I think most of that here. I think we've covered off a lot of this stuff, Tara. I wonder if maybe it's good now to show the specs list and just show how you
have
that looking.
Yeah. So when we're building our estimate, there's this amazing function called match costings order. We press that button and it aligns everything as to how that estimate looks, which is it goes into how we've then set out all of those little S specification items. When I'm going through my spec, I'll have my general conditions is my top banner. And this is where I'll put things, you know, for provisional / PC items within the contract. They are unknown scopes or items to be priced. You know, we've made allowances. If for any reason the item comes up or below that amount, the client is either to get a refund or get charged extra. But I'll make sure I put line items like that in my general conditions, because this in itself forms part of our contract. You know, when you're using a HIA or a master builder's contract, you upload these documents. Having all of that in there is then something that the client signs off again through contract. And I load this thing up with all kinds of things, even down to, you know, like, you know, ex-builder has the rights to photograph and video on site throughout the project. And, you know, we have a document that we sign, which is a media release document. So there you go. It's like, legally, you've given me permission to film on your site, because if you are on their site, you should not be filming without any of that kind of stuff covered. But if you put a little line item in here, then it, you know, it forms part of a contract notation as well. For the general housekeeping, this one here is more for like site access. And you know, as builders, people seem to think that we are available 24/7, like that you have no other life other than that project. So putting something in here that the site access is for the duration of the project, and even putting in there, you know, no outside of business hours contact is tolerated, or you might want to put something a bit more PC, but you know, just throwing an item in there like that so that people kind of respect your time and your you know, after hours, your private life, because yeah, you get calls at all sorts of hours otherwise. And yeah, things to do with the where you're going to put your signage, you know, making sure if you're working on a site where someone's living there and they've got animals, you know, even, and this is probably goes more to like the lay of the land, but even doing up a document before you get to site of, hey, this is our lay area, this is where we're going to store material. You should be doing this anyways, but store materials. This is where all the cars can park. You know, just having that kind of stuff. You know, if your dog's still on site, this is the zone of where your dog must be kept for the duration of the project. You know, if you're living upstairs, just those kind of things, noting them in here.
Yeah, and just to jump in there, Tara, sorry. If you do have items and things that are, you know, you want to put pictures in, that little box to the left-hand side where the text is, you click that, that's where you'd add your picture in. Obviously, you would be able to save specifications templates as well. So once you go and add it in, once you have to keep on doing it. So just wanted to call that out there. Yeah,
that's actually a really good function too. You can put all sorts of stuff in there. You can even do takeoffs in there, can't you?
You can put the picture on. Yeah, you can. If you've got it saved and thing, you can obviously download it or add it as a picture and put it into here. But
well, actually, that would be a pretty handy function.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the other thing as well, Tara, I don't think you've covered off in this as well, is that these individual items in your specification don't need to be a few words. They can be a full paragraph. So if you want to have a lot of detail in there and you want to put those in with links to a Dropbox or the library of pictures or something like that, you can do that. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, if you want to put all your doorstops, privacy sets, if it's all standard stuff, or you find it on the internet, 100%. Yeah, build that out.
Tara, if we can, do you mind jumping into the quote letter? Because I just want to show how this works in real life. And sorry, guys, I know there are some questions there. I'll jump to that in a second. If you can just, this should generate the whole thing now, but what we should start seeing when it loads up. If you just scroll down now, it should hopefully bring you into
Yeah, sorry, I'll click all these on.
Yeah, just to see the specifications.
Yeah.
So they're the allowances. So any PCPS items. Again, you can
And you
change the definition of what you want to show.
Yeah. Oh no. So yeah, this will show raw cost, which is good.
This is showing everything. You can go into it and toggle them on and off if you want. But this is the specification. Someone asked, can you show how the specifications actually looks?
Yeah.
I think it's just continuously loading every time you go down.
Yeah. So this would be, I don't show quoted items. I don't like that way that looks for how I display it, but I've just clicked everything so people can see the function.
Hopefully it's not just going to reload itself again.
Fingers crossed. Allowances. Specifications. Here we go. So this is how it then prints out.
Yeah, and I think the idea is in terms of like trying to read it when you've got those little lines ahead, I think your thing on it, Tara, is that it just reads better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You think like some of these jobs that we build, those specifications are, 30 pages, 40 pages, right? And there's a lot of content, architectural design, commercial projects. Again, this is a smaller one. So yeah, just having it broken up just looks so much nicer.
Yeah, and obviously, guys, if you're using the customer portal, you can actually have these in there so they show up as selection options as well. If you're trying to add in, different color tiles and things like that, they can be shown up. We'll go through that in a little bit more next week.
And another one here is, especially with renovations, is you want to kind of detail where you're actually doing things. For example, cladding, right? Let's say you've got linear board cladding, and you might say, I'll always list out linear board cladding, the number of sheets or the square meters and a dash, and then 2 new sections only. You want to be specific that it's enough, like specific enough that the client goes, okay, sweet, it's only to the new sections, because you don't want things to be ambiguous where it's like, well, you said I was getting cladding, but you didn't say where, so I want the whole house done. I know that seems a bit ridiculous, but yeah, just that would be a little additional note to kind of put there. And yeah, this is how it all reads out, all broken out. And clicking that match cost function button means it all presents the same way that I've written it in my estimate costings. So it saves time having to rejig things around as well.
Yeah, someone did ask, I forget where the question was, but why isn't it just a default option? And I think it's just some people like having their specifications in a different way. There's no, like I said, some people like having exclusions at the top, some people like having it at the bottom. So we just need you to make that decision.
Yeah, again, it's so as you said at the start, this isn't the right or wrong way. It's just
how you do
it. Yeah, it's just a way of doing it, and it's I've been doing it a while. It seems to work. So,
yeah. What I'll just go into there, Tara, as well, is that Ryan did add in, so the new schedule feature is, I've got a dog that might start going crazy now because I think there might be a parcel that's coming up to the neighbor. Ryan did add in there that we've got the schedule feature available, and it's slowly being released to customers. So by the end of the month, it should be available to everyone. If you do want that turned on specifically for you, just email us, support@buildxact.com. But what you'll notice is that schedule is now in the estimate section, which means that as you're doing your estimate and you're starting to assign trades and stuff, you can start building your schedule out. So if you just jump into that there, Tara, for me.
Yeah.
So
I actually clicked a few of them.
Yeah, because Tara had the T already in there. So if you just hit expand all for me.
Yeah, you can see where it's copied across. And previously you couldn't actually amend the heading, but now you can. You can type in, admin team, which is great because previously that function was you could press the T and it copied over, but it would only have that one heading item, which sometimes didn't correlate with how you needed to run or build your estimate for the heading. So this is really good change that they've actually just made, and you can color code it. So if you want to do all of your stage claim 1, blue, 2 would be purple, or your tiling or whatever, you can do all of that, which is good.
Yeah, that was one of the features that was really requested to have color coding in there. So happy that that's now all done. We'll obviously go into the schedule a little bit more detail, but one, it's just a lot more user friendly. It looks a lot cleaner. It's a bit easier to use on a mobile as well. It's a lot easier. The schedule area, you can go in. I'm just opening it myself on my side here, but you can kind of go in and add multiple people tied to that task and things like that as well. So in the previous way, you could only have one person. Not sure if you guys remember, but one person could be tied to a task. Now you can add multiple people. So if you have a particular task that needs a trade and your project manager or something like that to be aware of it, you just attach it to 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it. Is it Tara, or is there anything else specifically? Maybe we'll just do the questions now, or
I think we go through questions because I've run through everything that I'd probably want to put out on this one.
Awesome. So now where do we stop on the questions? So
I'm actually too scared to open up that thing.
Don't worry, I've been keeping mostly up to date with it. So the schedule updates we've spoken about, which I think Ryan covered yet. So Mo, you said it would be amazing if we can drop in the spec and quote files inside there, as we might have 3 quotes for the same area. So is that you showing supplier or subbies quotes for a particular item in your specification? Is that, I might have missed
3 items. Yeah, because if you were going to do that, then you would probably just present the actual quote, the 3 options. Is that in reference to a cost plus?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll come back to that one if Mo provides more detail on it. But what does the flag mean on the item? I'm not sure. Can you jump into estimate costings? I might need to see this visually. Oh, the flag. It's that just, sorry, I know what you mean. Scroll up there, Tara. It's just the top on the heading.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah.
It just goes green if it's complete, amber if it's not complete, and then if you don't need it, you just put not required, and it'll just.
Oh, yeah, that's a great function, by the way.
I don't specifically know why it's a flag. Just maybe someone put a flag when Buildxact was first created, and no one's ever changed it.
Actually, I'm going to show. There's this one. So if you haven't used Buildxact much, right? So let's say you built this whole big thing and you've gone, oh, I actually need to transfer these 5 line items into another cost center. You just click on it and you can move these between different cost centers.
Yeah.
Tile supply, move. And that is a very simple function, but it's amazing because if you are working on lots of stuff, just saves you time.
Yeah, same thing if you've got a few templates and you want to bring specific category or something over from an existing template, you can do that as well.
Yeah. Where is it?
While Tara's doing that, Mitchell, you've asked about the TIV courses. I'm not sure exactly where we're being used inside TIV. TIV just have access to use Buildxact to help with students, learning. So I'm not sure exactly how that part of it is set up from their end. But
what's TIV? Is that
Trade Institute of Victoria?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah, for students, yeah.
I'll
put my email in here, Mitchell. Feel free to reach out to me. Okay. Jason's asked, do you set the ... or dash, sorry, line as a catalog item? I don't think you do. I think you just type it in every time, right? You just copy and paste it.
Yeah, I just copy and paste it down.
Good, though. You could set it up as a line item. I don't think it'd make any difference either way.
No.
So Matt's asked, do you show category pricing at any stage in a summary page, for instance? So yeah, how do you break down your pricing, Tara? If you're showing it to a customer, would it just be the total price, or would you break it down into sections?
So that is dependent on the builder. There's a few different, so for some builders will show just the allowances broken out and then the total cost at the end. So no categories. And I'll show you what categories looks like in a second. And reason for that is it's no one else's business really what sometimes those things cost. And it's like, here's the amount, the detailed specification, these are your allowances you've got to shop with. Others will break out quote items, so the quote summary with the specification and then the total cost, but not the markup broken out. Again, markup and margin is quite a personal thing to each individual business. So, you know, if it's not something you want to show, totally respect that. And some will actually just say, no, open it right up. I don't care. I just want to be as transparent as possible, build that relationship, and then we move on. So there's no, you know, second guessing of, oh, the builder's making too much money. It's like, well, actually, no, I'm just making this much against what your job costs. And that's, you know, that's what it costs me to run my job. The one thing I would say on all of that is if a client says, I don't have a budget, you need to be cheaper, I would say to them, no, you need to amend your scopes, because what has been designed here is potentially, well, actually has been over-designed. So we've got to scale things back. And if you are looking at that from the initial estimation phase, I should have said that actually beforehand, the first thing I do is look at a job and then I break out sections of where I'd be able to save coin or pull stages out, because that's the first thing that always comes to the table is like, hey, this is what it costs. All right, cool. So where can we save money? If you've already done that exercise, especially at the start when you're estimating it, asking your trades and suppliers to separate certain scopes so that you don't have to keep going back to them and asking, because, you know, as the builder, you get pricing fatigue hard, but, you know, you should be getting paid for the pricing. And if you're not, I can help you do that. I actually just made a whole course on this stuff. And if you're asking your trades to continue to price, then they'll get pricing fatigue too, and you won't necessarily start off on a good foot. So it is your responsibility as the builder or the person pricing it to, you know, investigate that stuff early on, to spend time, break it out, and then, you know, when you mark up your plan, send it off to your trades and suppliers for quotes. It's covered.
Yeah, I think Ryan answered Matt's question on that anyway. So Tara, do you normally present this to a client? Would you ever work directly with a client, or do you do? So how would you currently present this to a client? Like, is there a template that you use on your quote? How would you?
So in terms of presenting this, I would have the cover page, and I normally get a nice picture from the builder, or if it's a QBE, so one of my quick builds, I just have my little thumbs up calculator on the front. We would have, I don't put a letter on there, and that's just because I have in my own pricing summary that I put together and I send that. So it's a separate document. I mean, you can put the letter if you want. It's just my method. I would always have the allowances shown, specifications, the quote summary, if that's the way that we were going with the client seeing all the categories. Otherwise, we would just have the lump sum at the end plus the allowances shown. That's the quote summary, and then you can go show categories and totals. This is what it presents like. So in this case, I would get rid of that 1 cent for presentation purpose, because the client will be like, what's that? But it's just something you learn. Same with that. Or they'd actually be quoted, so they'd be built in. But if you had an item where you're like client supply, you know, appliances, just don't put a number in there. And then down the bottom, your subtotal, GST, and your included GST markup amount. And then In terms of presenting it, I do work with builders where I will sit in on these conversations as well, and I'll chair it. The builder will do the meeting minutes, and then I'll just chair the meeting to say, hey, this is what it's looking like. We've got these items that we can reduce out of scope, blah, blah, blah. There we go. And it's probably worked quite well because it'll be a bit more banter between the builder and I. It's a good buffer, having someone else with them who runs numbers and is a third party. But it's also just a good buffer, probably like you and I speaking here, Julian. We bounce off each other quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we'll get through the rest that are in there now. If you're okay for the 5-10 minutes, Tara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think, Grant mentioned that we should have just exported the PDF. I kind of realized that after we'd already invested a bit of time just going through it on screen. So I wasn't sure if Tara had shared the Chrome screen or the actual computer screen. So we have to stop share and reshare again. So I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I was just being safe on that.
Yeah. Is there any preset template for prices that Buildxact has set up at the moment? Not with accurate pricing, I would say, Larry. I mean, we've got a lot of supplier integrations that you can use, and that helps the price, but nothing kind of out of the box from us at this stage. That'd be the recommendation where I'd say reach out to someone like Tara if you want to potentially buy pricing. It can be quite difficult to keep that up to date, just because pricing is changing all the time in different parts of the country and the world that we operate in.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Mitchell. Tara, do you have a format for calculating square meter rate? Some of the bigger builders are now dictating prices to suppliers based on this variable. They dictate prices to you on a take it or leave it basis. I would like to find a way to challenge their ability to calculate these prices effectively. So basically, how are you currently working it out?
That's probably a question offline. I need to know a bit more about what they're actually
specific.
Yeah, what specifically they're doing. But I mean, making it compound rate with everything all in together. So your labor, the door, the hinges, glue, whatever. That's a way you can make out a rate, or looking at an average across different jobs of what you've done as well. But in terms of them dictating those rates, I think we just need to have a conversation on what ones they're talking about.
Well, that's probably the same sort of thing, I guess, in supermarkets, isn't it? With the two big boys there. Prices down for them.
And yes, on that, they actually, some of those probably are QS rates, which sometimes to actual builders, it's like they're a rate, not an actual sometimes. So that probably comes into it too. They'd be working with QSs on that are set industry wide.
Yeah. Tara, if you just wouldn't mind jumping into estimate costings, Joanna's asked if you could show how it looks when you do the printout. So if you just go into I'm not sure if you do this or not, but if you go into the settings area there and then do print categories and items, and I think Joanna means a PDF, but let's just do that. This is kind of how it looks, Joanna. Hopefully you're still on. You can see this at the moment. But yeah, you can see the notes and stuff there. So I think maybe Joanna's trying to get here is that sometimes people actually use this as a quote to show the details in there. Obviously, you're showing everything in there, but I guess if you want to show real full breakdown, this is kind of a good way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's answered. When I'm reading a question, I now have to scroll down like 17 times to see.
Oh, sorry, I just stopped sharing.
Okay. So when would you hit complete? When would you hit complete button on the item? So I'm guessing when you just finish estimating the category.
Yeah. You finish estimating. Sorry, that category. You've entered your quote. You've looked at it and gone, "Yep, there's enough money in there," or "There's enough, whatever."
Yeah, you might also be referring to the schedule. Like it's hard to remember exactly where we were. So I guess in the schedule, that's a personal thing. If you mark the schedule as complete is when you think it's complete.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those are things that you can adjust the percentage. Sometimes just when it's done, and that's it. All right, let's try and wrap it up, guys. Tara, what trend are you currently seeing for builders margin at the moment?
I see between a 20 to 25, but anywhere from 25 to 33. And that jump up is based on the project management component being spread back across the job versus having it necessarily broken out, and plus a contingency built in. You've always got to look at it from what it costs you. So your margin, what do you want to make profit wise on the job to, have profit? And then what's it cost you to run? That's an exercise you should do with your accountants if you're not haven't already done it. And they'll be able to give you an idea of, a banner that you need to be between. So some of my builders say, if we can't get 33%, then we're not taking it on because it's not viable for us business wise. Whereas others they're like, look, I can roll the 20, 25 between that because I run that lean, that I know all my stuff's covered. But it's knowing your own numbers. So you've just got to invest the time yourself to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the volume builders have a stupid margin.
That's not real.
But they're set up completely differently, obviously.
Completely different, yeah. Yeah. And they've got a purpose.
Samson asked here, how do you price catalog cost for the estimate? Does it work similarly to recipes, or can you link the supplier cost? So I think Tara has her own price file that she works off of. You can link supplier pricing in there. So if you've got a recipe that you've just said it's a supply install rate or something like that, and you've put in a couple of material items from a supplier, you can absolutely use those items in your recipe. When that price from supplier increases, let's be real, it's probably not decreasing too much, but when that price changes, it comes through into your recipe as well. So if you've built your template out and you've got your template fairly detailed, you hopefully don't have to go and do too much editing every single time. Obviously, that kind of depends on the projects you do and the materials you're using and things like that. But yeah, you can absolutely link suppliers in there. Jason's just asked, Tara, why don't you show quoted items on your quote letter? Too much detail?
Yeah, because I don't want clients to go and shop around. So it's just quote is this, and the specification of what Buildxact cost is here. Unless it's a provisional sum or a prime cost, then I'll happily show them the quote detail. But yeah, other than that, I don't think it's necessary.
I'm just reading the comment here from Mo. So I think he's saying that he gets different scopes based on the subby that comes back. Yeah, it's just how, I mean, yeah, there's obviously more detail we could potentially look at adding in. I haven't had that one come up before, Mo. Might be one to check with support and see if there's any other recommendations, or if it's something that might be in the works, or maybe add it to the feature request. Alex has asked for an elaboration on QBE, quick building estimate. Tara, do you want to quickly go through what that is?
Sorry, I was reading a comment in the group chat. I didn't even listen. I didn't hear your thing.
What is your QBE? Basically, what is it?
Oh, QBE, sorry, it's a quick build estimate. That's where we look at a project from a high level, and we utilize rates and lump sums that we know, hey, I'm going to put in 30K for that plastering based on I've just had 3 or 4 jobs down the road, similar concept. Here we go. And we build those out, and there's a fair bit of detail in them for even a high level, because there's certain ones you can get out there which just kind of spit out a single line item or a few items. But even at this, QBE or high level, I like to give enough detail that we can make educated decisions on either adjusting design, because it's a good time to get them done when you're at design phase, concept, less costly for the client, or it means that we can I've been in meetings with the builder and I've broken out these numbers. Again, I break all these numbers out. So he goes, oh, what if we did this? I go, boom, 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 done. We're 130K less. Let's go. Let's go to contract estimation. Let's get this thing happening. And he's just like, sweet. Okay. Client goes, all right, fine. So yeah, that's what a QBE is. And I've got a whole price package and everything that I can send out to whoever. Actually, I might even just Does anyone want that? Like a price list? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've put in, all right, there's a few yeses, that's good. All right, sweet.
Yeah, I've just
I
gone
might
through
do a
quick ones.
maybe.
I'll try and sorry guys, we're just running out a bit of time here.
Mm.
But Tim just asked for the pricing from suppliers. When you go into integrations into Buildxact, there'll be a list of suppliers that show up. If those suppliers are people you work with, just hit connect. It'll ask you for your member number or customer number, so PowerPass number, that kind of thing. And then Bunnings, Mitre 10, Dalsons, whoever it is, will have the option to turn pricing on for you, and they'll share those price files coming in. Awesome. So there's tons of saying, yeah, love your price list, Tara. So guys, when Tara's going to send this, it'll probably take Tara about a week or so to get through the attendees on here. It's going to come through as a new template. Is that how you're doing it, Tara? You're showing it inside of Buildxact?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will come through into your templates when you click the email once it reaches your account. So just obviously, if you're not currently seeing Buildxact emails that come through, you might just want to check your spam filter over the next week or so to see if that's coming through. But I think it's kind of there, Tara, I think we will never get off. But I'm really glad and happy that it seems like people got a lot of value out of today. So I want to obviously thank you, Tara, for doing that. It's great to see it. Someone mentioned earlier on about it's great to see it, in the wild, like how this actually works, and not just kind of like the Buildxact way of us doing, our 5-10 minute videos and telling you how to do it. It's seeing someone else that doesn't use everything that Buildxact has to offer. But it's how she uses it. That's kind of what we wanted to get across today. So I'm glad that everyone's enjoyed that. The sharing of this will come to the email that you've got on file for the webinar. There's not an easy way for us to manage this correctly if we try and do it individually, because we just get a list of people that attended via Zoom, and that's where Tara will send that over to. But yeah, Tara, appreciate having you on. Obviously, we've got this next week. So guys, if you're interested in the more project management side, so customer portal, some of those things Tara won't cover off, some of the things she will, but we've got exact accounting talking about Xero. So if you want to get your Xero integration set up and how that works, come along to that one. That will be recorded as well. But yeah, just jump in and register and you'll get the recording for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye.
See ya. Bye.